Hey, this is Lewis from SoFly, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create some pricing tables with Oxygen. So start by adding a section. Add 100 pixels of padding on either side of the section. And then for the pricing table, we'll go ahead and add a div. We'll add a class to the div called pricing table. We will make it 25% width. And the pricing table, we're going to have the package name, tagline, the actual price itself, the term, like $90 per month, per year, then some bullet points about what features are included in the package, and then a buy button. So first, for the heading section of the pricing table with the package name, we'll add a div block. We'll call this pricing table package. Inside this, we will have a heading called pricing table package name, and then a text block called pricing table package tagline. So for the name, I'll call this Oxygen Pro Edition, and for the tagline, everything you need. Then let's go up to the pricing table itself and add another div. We'll call this, let me open the tree so you can see what I'm doing. We'll call this div pricing table price container. And then inside the price, and you know what I'm going to do as well? I'm going to set this to show up in the center of the page so you can see what's going on a little bit better. We'll move it where we want later. Okay, so we're back to the pricing table price container. Inside the price container, we're going to have the actual amount of the price. This will be a text block. Call this pricing table price. And then we're going to duplicate this and call it pricing table price term. So we'll say $99 one time. Okay, now let's go back to the pricing table and add in another div for our package features. We'll call this pricing table package features. And inside this, we're just going to have some text with each feature. So we'll just add a you know what I'm going to do? Actually, I'm going to make a list. So we'll add a list here. We'll call this pricing table feature list. And then we will add a list item. We'll call this pricing table feature list item, LI. Okay, there we go. We could duplicate that a couple of times since we're going to have multiple features in the package. And then we'll go back to the pricing table and add a bottom section with the buy button. So we'll just call this pricing table footer. And inside the footer, we're going to have a text link called pricing table purchase button. Okay, now let's style this all up so it looks good. So for the first thing we'll do is the purchase button. So we'll set this to, what color do we want to make it? Let's be interesting and use as sort of a pink button. So actually I want white text on a pink background. There's our white text, pink background. We will add in 10 pixels of padding on the top and the bottom, 17 on the left and the right, and we will just say buy now. And let's make this 15 pixels, 14 pixels. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's go up to the pricing table footer, and we want to center everything in the footer. So we'll just go center, and we'll add in actually 30 pixels of padding on all sides. Then let's style up the pricing table feature list items. So go to the pricing table feature LI, and let's say we want 8 pixels of margin between the list items. We'll go up to the list itself. We'll go up to the pricing table package div right here, and we'll add another 30 pixels of margin on all sides. Now we'll just change the text to say lifetime license, unlimited sites, lifetime support, design sets included. And let's make this a little bit smaller. We'll say 14 pixels for all of these. And we'll set the text color to black, somewhat transparent. And now let's add bullet points to the list. So we'll go to the before state for the list, and we will set its the before pseudo element size to 6 pixels by 6 pixels. with a background color of, let's use pink. Let's go back to a list item, go to the before state, set the background color to pink, and we will set the position to absolute. And then we'll move it down. Should we use relative? No, absolute position. Move it down. Say, okay, first we have to set the li itself to position relative. Then we can go back to the before state, position absolute top 1, 2, center it like that. And then we can move it to the left, say negative 12 px, negative 13. And let's add a border radius of 50% to make these circles. And maybe we can make it a little smaller. Instead of 7 by 6 by 6, we can go 5 by 5 and push it down another 2 pixels, 1 pixel. Okay, looks pretty good. There are pricing table bullet points. And then for the pricing table price itself, let's set the font size of this to very big, 48px. Displays an inline block. And when we display this as an inline block, that's going to let them display next to each other, which is what we want. Then for this section, what we're going to do is, you know what, let's just center everything in the pricing table. So we'll just go to the pricing table, center it all. I might tweak these list items later. Then on the pricing table price container, we will add 20 pixels on all sides. We'll set this to a light gray, 14px. Set the line height of this 99 to 1 em. And then let's move this over, say, 12, 10, 9 pixels. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's starting to take shape. Now let's go ahead and tweak the font size, the package name, to something more reasonable, say 21 pixels. And the tagline down to, say, 13 pixels. And let's go up to the pricing table package container, add 20 pixels of margin on all sides. And now let's go ahead and style this. So for this, we're going to give it a, actually we'll give it a pink background. Copy the background in there, and then we want the text to be white, like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then for this, we'll stick with the white background. You know, we'll use a light gray background here, actually. Very transparent, like that, just barely gray. And then white here, and white here. And then what we'll do is we'll just put a border around the entire pricing table. So go up to the pricing table and add a border. Let's try a pink border to start. I'm not sure if it'll look good. 1 pixel solid pink around the whole pricing table. Okay, that looks pretty good, actually. Nice. Okay, there's way too much spacing between the list and the buy button, so let's just get rid of the padding there. Okay, that looks a lot better. This text could be maybe smaller, probably all lowercase. I shouldn't have capital design sets. So we'll go to typography, text transform, lowercase. And now that we've centered the text, I don't like the bullet point, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete that before state. And it still feels like there's a little too much spacing here, so let's maybe put 20 pixels on the bottom, maybe 15 pixels here, 15 pixels there. Okay, and that looks a lot better, not starting to come together. Maybe shrink this text down a little bit, $99 one time, 11px. 12 looks good. Let's mess with the font weight here, set this to maybe 600, we can make it a little bit bigger. And we could add a little bit of margin below it. And maybe a little more spacing here. Let's say 25 pixels on the top and the bottom. And maybe not so much spacing here. No, I guess 20 was good. Maybe this is a little big. Let's tweak the color of this a little bit. And we will turn this down to 36, 40. And let's make this very bold. Let's try that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe that's a little bit too bold. Let's go 600. Okay, there we go. Now this is starting to look pretty good. Okay, this is a nice pricing table. Let's go ahead and get rid of the center alignment on the pricing table itself, and then we'll create a pricing table layout with 3 pricing tables next to each other. So first thing I'm going to do is go back to the section and add a heading. We want to add this to the top of the section. And we'll go to the section, we'll center everything in the section. We'll say secure ordering 30-day guarantee. And then below this, we will put a subheadline. We'll make it a little smaller and slightly more gray and not quite as bold. And we'll say limited time offer, order now for special pricing, or whatever you want to say on your pricing page. And let's add a little margin below this headline. Let's say 8 pixels of margin. And then what we're going to do is add a div that's going to contain all the pricing tables. So we're going to go wrap with div. And now this is the pricing table itself is here, and it's wrapped with a new div. This div will add 50 pixels of margin. We're going to set the max width of this div to 800 px. And now what we want to do is center this div, so we'll just give it a margin of auto on either side. Okay, that's pretty good. Now what we're going to do for the pricing tables themselves is let's duplicate this twice because we want there to be 3 of them. And now 25% is too narrow of a width for the pricing table. Let's set the width to 33.33% and float left. Now they're going to stack next to each other, but we don't want them touching. We want some space in between them. So let's add 10 pixels of margin on the left and the right. Now the problem is if we do that, they now stack vertically because their widths add up to 33.33% plus 10 times 3, which is more than 100%. So what we should do is set the width to calc 33.33% minus 10 px minus 10 px, subtracting the margin. And now they'll fit nicely inside the container for the pricing tables. Okay, that looks pretty good. The special pricing table for the main package we want people to buy should probably have the highlight color of pink. The other one should probably have slightly smaller text and not be as prominent. So let's go to this div block and set the background. We'll just call this pricing table secondary, and we'll add the same class to this one. We'll call it pricing table secondary, and we'll set the background for the secondary pricing tables to be a light gray, and we'll set the text color to be a light gray as well. And these probably don't have as many features, so we can just delete a couple of features. Maybe this one will have more features, so we'll add another feature. And these should probably not have a pink border either. So let's collapse all the elements just so we can see what's going on, and then go back to the pricing tables. Oh, this one probably doesn't need a pink border, so we'll just go to the ID and we'll set the border to 1 pixel solid gray. And then we'll do the same for the third pricing table. 1 pixel, not on the class though. Make sure it's on the ID or it'll affect all of them. 1 pixel solid gray. Oh, did I delete the border off the class? I must have. Let's go back here to the class and set the border of the class to be 1 pixel solid. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is looking pretty good for our pricing tables. Now let's go ahead and make this responsive. So less than 992, it's going to be fine because the container is, the container for the pricing tables has a max width of, where did we set that? The container has a max width of 800 px on desktop or less, so less than 992 pixels, we're going to be fine. At less than 768 pixels and down to 480, things are going to get cramped. So let's stack the tables vertically at less than 768 pixels. So to do that, what we'll do is just go to the pricing table class and set the width of the pricing table to be 100%. And we'll take all the margin off the pricing table, 0 pixels on the left, 0 pixels on the right. Add 40 pixels of margin below the pricing table. And then for the pricing table container, we'll add 20 pixels of padding on all sides. Okay, that looks pretty good now. And now this will also look good at less than 480. Okay, there we go. That's how to do responsive pricing tables with Oxygen. Thank you for watching.